Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You are here with JP, Caleb, and we got our stats guru, Brandon, on the show. What's up, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good, man. Good. Just checking out all the crazy action in the NFL right now, man. All the moves, all the stuff going on. You know, we got maybe a Deshaun Watson getting ready to come back. We might have we got a new elite quarterback in the AFC West, and they're gonna be a Super Bowl contender this year apparently, compared to what everybody's saying, and it's just gonna be some crazy stuff. We got some stuff going on within our own team that we got to get to, and stuff that went on all over the league, really. But
yeah, it's been a crazy last few days, and I bet next week's gonna be even crazier with the addition of March Madness.
Oh man,
and baseball starting back up. It's gonna be a crazy couple weeks of sports.
Yep.
Yeah, thank God baseball started back up. I mean, that's a good thing. That was going to be a huge blow. I mean, it's not. I think it would have been a bigger blow, honestly. Sadly, it is. And as an ex-baseball player, I think it would have been a bigger blow if it would have been the NFL. But it just, you don't want to lose an entire season with a sport like that. You just don't.
Be like you losing a year of Mahomes in his prime.
Yeah.
Like losing Mike Trout and stuff. If you lose a year of that, it's not like you just tack an extra year on at the end.
Exactly.
Body's gonna break down at the same point.
Yep. So I'm just glad it's starting back up and everything's going to go back to normal, and at least as normal as it can be as far as that part's concerned. I guess maybe the owners decided to, get off their billionaire asses and cave in a little bit, so pretty sad that they got the money that they've got, but they didn't want to do the simplest things, And look, the one thing about baseball is there's really not a cap. So, I mean, guys are out there getting, 400 or 500 million a year, to play baseball for 13, 14 years. So,
can you imagine football without a cap? Just like that luxury, God. Like you just pay it over. I can't imagine.
I don't know why they won't do that, but
it'd be insane.
We're at the point the Chiefs could probably garnish some money now. Back then, no, but right now they could garnish some money and figure some stuff out.
And like with Mahomes, you could bring like anybody in. If you have that elite quarterback talent, you could literally bring whoever you want in for however much you want to. We generated so much money the last 4 years.
Oh yeah. Yep. I remember back in the day when, like the cap was, I don't remember what it was per year. It was fairly low. It was like in the mid 90s, and Jerry Jones was like 30 plus million over the cap, and he wanted Deion Sanders. So he just called him into the office and wrote him a personal check for like 33 million to sign him. And
that'd be such a big flex.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah. And the NFL didn't do nothing about it. They just let it happen, and he got a little slap on the wrist, and it was pretty much over with. But those days are gone. I mean, now you can't even, God, you can't even fart on the field without getting in trouble. So it's getting to a point now to where it's just sad, but it is what it is. I mean, there's so many things that are going to change this year. I think with the NFL, with the league rules and officiating, which what I'm hearing, the officiating is going to be really shuffled around. So that's going to be good. There's going to be guys that are going to be completely gone. They're going to switch up these groups. So they, like you have a certain group, like it's so hardcore penalty, just penalty ridden people that want to call on everything. They're going to break those groups up to where maybe they can learn to let the teams play the game and, do different things. So
yeah,
it's going to be a different, they've changed it so many times. It's like, you can only go so far with it. And then it's like, okay, where are you going to stop at this point? They just and they are going to work on the NFL office as far as making sure they're more involved with certain plays and certain aspects of the way things go. So that'll work out in everybody's favor, every team's favor for that matter. At least some of the bad, horrid calls like what we had in week 17 won't happen again. So this kind of is what it is. But man, how about some of these moves, you guys? I mean, what are you thinking? Russell Wilson to Denver. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Crazy move. I kind of feel a little bit that the Broncos overpaid, but unfortunately, that's the market. They get up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and then 2 players. I feel like that's personally a little bit too much, but that's just kind of how the market is right now for quarterbacks. Take it to the example whenever Brett Veach went ahead and tried and inquired with Frank Clark and gave him that big contract. That was market value. So that's just kind of how it is right now. But the Broncos got a quarterback. We'll see what they can do. I mean, they still got some weapons. They got some pieces, but this puts people like Veach on alert because they need to make moves. They got to bring in players, and we got to counteract different things from that area.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Brandon?
I kind of think Seattle might know something that the rest of us don't.
I had a feeling
the same it's the same group that drafted him, same coach. It seems really odd just to get rid of him. And I think he has lost a step, had his first injury that I'm almost to like that's a smart team.
Yeah.
I think they know. And if Deshaun Watson, if everything works out for him tomorrow, if he's cleared, they might know exactly what they're doing. That 9th overall pick they just acquired is valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if Russ can't get it around as well, I don't think Denver has a superior offensive line. I think Seattle knows something.
I think you're right. I 100% agree. I mean, Russell Wilson is good through about 8 games a year. And then he's
the first 8.
He's
the
first 8. Let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. And next thing you know, that cooking is not good.
Yeah.
We'll take Russ week 10 and week 18.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's like it's very strange with him, but he just tends to fall off the map, you know. And look, you can't say it's because he hasn't had any weapons, because he's had the weapons. He did have a crappy offensive line. I'll give him that. I mean, there was 3 years straight he had no offensive line. But regardless, I just think you're right, Brandon. I think they know something that nobody else knows, maybe. And I feel like I don't think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. I don't think this year, especially. And I don't think they're even going to be. I think they're going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to be this high-powered elite team that everybody wants to put them at. Some guy tried to tell me they were a top 10 defense. And they're not. They were ranked between 21st and 24th overall.
And they just got rid of Shelby Harris.
Yeah, they got rid of Shelby Harris.
And
then
they
gave up Noah Fant, dude. I mean,
I was surprised with that move.
Yeah,
that's a surprising move.
Yeah.
I understand they got the other guy who's pretty good. It's kind of like, all right, if that's what you want to do, it's on you.
I mean, they got a couple weapons, but getting rid of him was a mistake. I mean, that guy's got mad skills, and I think that was huge. I mean, that was a huge mistake. I think they way overpaid.
His 9th overall pick is valuable because while it's not a quarterback draft, you could get Sauce Gardner there.
Yeah.
I mean, Sauce Gardner is legit.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a number one day.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think I understand it's the market and all, but I just feel like they way overpaid. I think they gave up their future for somebody that won 6 games last year.
And I guess they're looking at consistency, and that's good. But when you look at it in the day, the Broncos can do their thing, and they're going to try. But it's kind of like what Brandon said. Is there something we don't know?
Yeah.
And also, are the Broncos doing a fire sale? Because they could theoretically trade off DK and Tyler Lockett and Jamal Williams Adams as well and get more picks if they're trying to do the whole fire sale thing. But when you look into the end of the day, regardless of what they did, they set the market for quarterbacks in the compensation. So that's probably the only reason why Carson Wentz went for a 2nd round pick, as terrible as he played. That's the only reason why the value was so high. So, I mean,
that's what I'm so confused about Russ is that they just got Jamal Adams like a year ago.
Yeah.
Or 2. They've got the 2 receivers. They've got Penny and Carson. They got that Dwayne Brown. They've got players.
Yeah.
There's got to be something
There's something there that we don't know. You're right.
Well, I know they had some.
He's also going to be 34 at the end of the year.
That's true.
Too.
That's true.
For a dual threat quarterback, he's not Drew Brees, Tom Brady. He's not a pocket passer.
No. He can run. He can. He gets out of the pocket a lot. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's just a weird move, I think, for Seattle. If they're doing a fire sale, that's all. I mean, I honestly thought this was Pete Carroll's last year.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too.
I did too. He still here?
Yeah,
but
I mean, he's 71 years old, so I know he looks
51. Good though.
Yeah, he looks like he's moving around.
He looks better than me, so I mean, and I'm 20 years younger than him, so he's just in good shape. He's always like a, he's always been in really good shape, and he moves down that field really well. He runs, he looks like a 45, 50-year-old guy. And I don't know if he gets, Botox or any of that shit, but you can't even see it in his face. I mean, he just looks young. Regardless, it's a very strange move to me. I really like the article that Charles put out, with the whole Denver getting Aaron Rodgers thing, and, the picture of Aaron Rodgers in a Denver Broncos uniform, going to making the mark with that, huge contract that he got. But and now he is theoretically the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, player in the NFL, for 2 years. But and I think he's probably going to call it quits after those 2 years. I mean, I think that'll be the end, and he'll get, have all of his money. And honestly, he would have retired if he would have stayed engaged or got married. He would have retired. He wouldn't have stayed.
He's got that fuel. He's about to cut the hair off.
Yep.
And go crazy.
Yep.
He's going to try to win it. So we'll see what's going to happen. The Packers are going to have a hands full on that NFC as a whole. It's going to be very difficult for them to try and make it through.
It's going to be tough. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, you got Jimmy Garoppolo that's going to be on the move. He's done. Don't know where he's going to
go for first. Honestly, the way the market is set,
he'll
go for a first or a high second.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of different things that can happen.
Yeah. There's just a lot of guys on the move right now, and there's a lot of players that, and I know Chiefs fans love to think that we need every single player in the NFL. I wish we had an 800-man roster, but we don't. That'd be great, but we just don't have that. There's attributes in every player, but it doesn't mean they're going to fit within our system. I don't think for 1 second that DK Metcalf is leaving Seattle. They're going to, if you're going to let one walk, you're definitely not going to let your top receiver walk when you're bringing in a new quarterback.
And he's also 25. They're going to let Tyler Lockett walk, who's a little bit older. Although Tyler Lockett would be an asset to any team.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
But you're going to keep DK because you can build around him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way Drew Lock is going to be starting quarterback next year.
No.
I just don't believe it.
I think that was an insurance. That was an insurance move. Yeah, and maybe Drew Lock if he has to start a couple games, maybe he'll do better with them. You never know. I mean, he has some weapens, so.
Well, there's
a better coach
Manning,
too.
Yeah, other than Peyton Manning, nobody's done well with Denver since. So.
Yep, that's true.
And it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, from Case Keenum to, it was just, I think that, look, when you really look at the way Minnesota did that whole deal, you get rid of Case Keenum for Kirk Cousins that has done absolutely nothing for you, but Case Keenum is a better quarterback. All the way around, a better quarterback. He may not have had, 4,000-yard seasons all the time, but you can have a 4,000-yard season and still not make the playoffs. I mean, for the years that Kirk Cousins was with Washington, he had a losing record his entire time there.
Yeah, he had a losing record. He wasn't really the best of the best.
No.
But they kept tagging him. If he was the best of the best, he would have got
a deal
from them at some point.
Yeah. So there's going to be, I think, a few quarterback moves this year. It's going to be a crazy time. The Saints are the team that, if you want to look at the Chiefs and what they may or may not do as far as free agency is concerned, or even trades, kind of look at the Saints to a degree. I'm hearing a little bit of rumors about them working on some stuff with the Saints on the defensive side of the ball. I know that they are looking at a couple wide receivers and a running back in free agency, but Veach has his eyes set on some draft picks. And, but again, there's another rumor going around. Well, not a rumor, something I was told. And I'm not going to say it because I don't even want it to happen. But I will say that they were considering trading one of our key starters for the right compensation. And the player that I finally narrowed it down to, I don't want to see leave. So I'm not even going to say his name. But and hopefully it doesn't happen. But they're revamping a lot of areas. They're, looking at the defensive line pretty much. I mean, that's a revamp. you got a couple corners. I don't know. I did hear that there may be an opportunity for Ward to stick around, which I hope that better happen. I mean, we need Ward. I think it's
They can get him on a good deal that's friendly, cap
I
friendly.
just don't want to overpay him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean,
he's like the third best corner in the free agency.
Yeah.
That's where I get kind of worried. It's like JC Jackson and then like him.
Yeah.
So I could see somebody giving him a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
And it sucks. And the one thing about Veach is he never really jumps on corners. He's not a big corner guy. He doesn't really like chase down these high profile corners. He always gets the guys that get groomed or just come in naturally talented, like a Snead or even a Fenton,
We spend like no money on the position too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Those guys are each making like $1 million.
Yeah.
At some point, I'd like to see us go. I mean, maybe this year's not the year, but go invest a little bit of assets in that.
Yeah, if they've got
that's fair.
If they got
especially if the D line, because if the D line's super good, you don't need as good of corners. But if our D line is not going to be sack nation, they're more pressure nation.
Yeah,
then we're that's better corners.
Yeah,
I think we need pass rush. We need that, and that's kind of one thing we've seen is like you can't be considered sack nation if you're going to let Joe Burrow slip through your fingers, or you're playing your defensive line literally probably 65% of your cap, and they can't get a quarterback. And I know something that's probably what Veach is going to look at. Also, I would not be surprised if Veach uses some draft capital. He has a couple picks and some extra rounds. He could do something like that. We've seen it before.
Yep.
I mean, there's many different things that can happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I did hear they are planning on kind of blowing up that defensive line, and I mean, as far as Jaron Reed, he's done.
I heard Denver fans talking about him like, "Oh, we may go get Jaron Reed."
You can have him.
Have him. Have a good time with him. Enjoy.
He ain't getting past Creed, Tooney, and
nope.
No, take him.
Smith,
run with him. Clark's
and
gone.
if he does, that's something I'll be like, that makes no sense.
Yeah,
we just didn't utilize him correctly. That's
well, that's on Spags, and Spags has continually showed us he does not want to evolve with the times. So
no, it looks like you got no Clark, you got no Jaron Reed. I think they want to retain Turk Wharton, which if they can, they will. Which I think they will. Yeah,
I don't see him going anywhere. The team gave him a shot. He's done really well. I see them keeping him.
Yeah, he's
out of Missouri too.
Yeah, he's fast.
S&T, so like you got to at least somewhat likes the area.
Yeah, he's quick. I mean, he's fast. He's not afraid to hit. They were going to basically at the beginning of, well, I should say at the end of the season, I heard they were blowing everybody up and they were going to keep, basically it was going to boil down to 3 corners, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay. I mean, they were just going to blow everybody else up.
I mean, they kind of got to. You got your defense guys step up and get some pressure, but the
After
offense, we need number 2.
Yeah.
You got to get number 2 receiver. Hopefully, you can get a quality number 1 receiver that can play the 2. I mean, that'd be nice, but they got to get someone in there to help. There are several options that I'm kind of looking and seeing like this would be nice too, but I mean, it's going to be interesting for sure.
I'm fine with either avenue too, because you could also, with how deep this wide receiver draft class is, you could get that kind of player in the second round, maybe.
That is true.
Like a George Pickens maybe falling down.
Yeah,
I've seen him falling down to late second round. He'd be a great one.
Yeah.
Had the injury, which is a little concerning, but if he's healthy, he had number 1 first round talent.
Yeah,
that's true.
Definitely.
But I'd prefer to probably go sign somebody.
Yeah, you want
something that's proven.
Yeah, you got it. At some point, I mean, when it comes to these skill positions, you have to have guys that are somewhat. I don't want 29-year-old, 30-year-old guys all the time, but I'm saying you need to get these 25, 26-year-olds that have been in the league a couple, 3, 4 years and understand the position and are going to fit within the system. Then you've got 4, 5, 6 years left with them, and you can build around those guys and have your other guys, falling into place like Veach usually does. Nobody thought Frank Clark was going to fall off the way he did.
No. And we defended JP and I defended him for the longest time.
Yeah.
The longest time. We probably the last to lead the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Same. I get the heat on Twitter every time I choose to put Frank Clark stats out. I get attacked.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's sad, but look, the guy has had some issues. We talked about it before anybody did with his stomach issues, and that's a problem that he's dealt with for a long, long time. And then his injury issues, and then as far as his legal stuff is concerned, one of them's already been dismissed or the charges have been dropped, and I think the other one's going to be as well. So, if I'm not mistaken, he goes on the 13th of this month.
That sounds about right. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's the reason we have a ring on our finger.
He is.
That is true.
I mean,
tell
Chris
people
Jones
that.
has 0 playoff sacks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Frank Clark has all of them. I mean, he's a huge part. People attack me on Twitter for saying that.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's the reason we have a ring. They're like, no, he's not. I'm like, go watch the playoff. I tell people
the same thing with Tyrann Mathieu. I'm like, Tyrann Mathieu helped change. They're like, no, he's not. He just complains of fans too much. I'm just like, guys, you don't understand this. The era of the fans just basically, the era of the player just basically being nice to the fan all the time isn't going to happen. You're going to have players firing back on Twitter. As much as we don't like it, it's just going to happen.
And
everyone's players didn't even line up correctly before him.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
They were in the wrong spot every time.
And Eric Berry was out there with what did he have? A torn Achilles stomping his foot on the ground, trying to get in the lineup. Yes. They still weren't lining up. So that just shows you when you have someone like Tyrann Mathieu, it's the little things that matter. And because of him, we weren't getting our the backside of the defense getting exploded all the time. We weren't losing pressure like that. He at least kept the cap up there from exploding.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And, for everybody out there that keeps bitching and saying that he is asking for too much money, look, you're wrong. You're flat wrong. He is not asking for, and Caleb will attest to this. He's seen it. He's not asking for too much money. He doesn't want to be the highest paid. He just wanted to be here. They haven't even offered him a contract. And I'm going to say it because it is what it is. They haven't offered him a damn thing. So for everybody out there that wants to bitch and complain about him, it has nothing to do with him specifically. He was injured last year. He had COVID last year.
Played through all that.
And he played through all of it, so.
He was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and still a Pro Bowler. I mean, think about this. Think about all he went through from week 4 on, and yet his numbers were still better than 85% of the safeties in the league.
Yeah.
So however you want to look at
it,
you want to bitch and complain about him, that's fine. I mean, he's a nice guy. He just wants to be here and he wants to contribute. And until they throw him out the door, he's not going to leave. I know he's pissed off right now and I don't blame him, but at some point, it's either you have to make a decision. And look, here's my thing. Everybody wants to talk about this $80 to $90 million that we can acquire from extensions and this and that and the other. He's part of that money. He's part of it. If you extend him, you gain $20 million between 17 and 21 million. I think it is. So why not extend the man, give him a couple of year contract?
And that's something that falls on Veach though, too. And he likes to everything line up perfectly and for how he's going to work. And that's just how he is. And I think you and I there's things we like about Veach and things we don't like. And that's probably one thing. And maybe they're trying to figure out how to get in the test on market and stuff. But you can't lose a player like that and then say you bring in someone who just can't have that same level of intensity. Now, probably with the coaching changes, I have a feeling it's going to change coming around. It's going to be better. But having Spags as the DC and him obviously not paying attention to how certain things were happening, it's a little worrisome to me. And I like Spags, but seeing kind of the issues that arose, JP, you were telling me that was going on, what we seen, all those issues, and it's kind of like, come on now, man. Why are you letting Sorensen still play? I mean, Sorensen has his contract ran out, or is he going to get cut?
Done.
Do we know?
It's
okay.
It's
well,
over.
that bridge is finally
ended
ended because if they bring him back, you got issues because we need to figure out why Spags is bringing him back, why Veach is allowing it, because he's commanding millions of dollars you could be putting towards other players.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you're literally hurting the production of Armani Watts and Darnell Daniels to let Sorensen play.
And Thornhill.
When he shouldn't. Yeah, and Thornhill. And you don't think Sorensen's not the future. Sorensen is a guy, and I like Sorensen, but he is not that every down starter. He is that guy that comes in on those crucial downs. And we seen even on those crucial downs, he allowed like 7 touchdowns by himself.
7.
So it's time, and everyone get mad at Tyrann Mathieu. He has the right to do this for everyone who can't see. Put his hands up.
Think about how many more he would have given up if it weren't for Tyrann. It'd be
Exactly.
double digits.
Exactly.
Thank you. Exactly. That's what we're seeing here. There are so many different moving parts. So I understand what Veach is doing, but comes a time and place where like they're going to figure something out now, or they're going to see how he's going to test in the market. That's probably what they're going to do, because knowing Veach, he has a little bit of that somewhat of a Belichick-esque where he's going to drop you. And as much as it sucks, I don't think Matthew should be dropped, but I can understand from a financial standpoint, because you can probably find, because you can see there's some good players in this draft, JP.
I know,
Daxton Hill could be a
there's a couple.
Matthew.
Yeah, but do you think they're going to step in and be able to play immediately and take that role?
That's Daxton Hill looks like a day one. Maybe not as from
what college
leadership.
Is he from?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not as much of a, maybe he's not the leader year one or year two, but his play style, he can play everywhere. That's somebody that if we don't get Tyron, I think that's got to be a guy we got to at least look at.
And maybe they see Thornhill's Matthew 2.0 in a way, and even better. So it's kind of how it is. But I agree with you, JP. It is frustrating. It is.
It is. It's just irritating. I mean, the guy's done a ton for the team and a ton for the community, and people treat him like trash. And all the jackoffs out there that were, oh, please come back. Please come back. We really want you back. Now they're saying, we don't need you. You're asking for too much money. Go play somewhere else. You can't hit. You can't tackle. You can't do this. You don't want to tackle. It's, one season of the guy not being injured, and they want to bash him after they figure out, or they think that he's not coming back. And he's going to fire back at these people. He's tired of it. And he is. I mean, I don't blame him. It'd be very difficult to sit there and do everything that he's done for this football team, and then to be bashed by these wannabes that all of a sudden became fans of the Chiefs because Mahomes got here.
I don't think I could be a NFL player, any kind of player with social media.
No.
I'd have to delete it all. Like
You'd have to not be on it.
Because
Coach Bruce Weber for K-State said he's like, this is the most toxic fan base he's like seen at any of his colleges, but he got here in 2012 when social media wasn't really relevant.
Yeah.
So I think this goes on anywhere. So like, sorry to bring K-State sports into this, but he's saying this. It's the same thing with any of the sports. Everybody thinks it's so worse now with this fan base because years ago, the Twitter trolls weren't out there doing this. Exactly. When Tyron entered the league, social media wasn't where it was at.
Yeah, it wasn't.
So he can say they weren't this bad in Arizona. Well, I bet they're like this in Arizona right now with Kyler Murray and all that. It's just the age of, I think you'd have to delete it all. I couldn't do it.
I don't know. You'd have to be a lot like a lot of these guys that just don't have it. I mean, there's guys out there that don't have social media just for that reason. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Or like a Creed Humphrey. He only tweets his like sponsorships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta kind of have to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because God forbid he allowed Mahomes to get sacked more than once a year, then he would be a piece of crap again. Because that's just basically how it goes. It's either if you're not perfect, you're not good enough. And that's a sad, there's not one perfect player or team in this league. So everybody's got to realize that and just thank their lucky stars that we got who we have. I mean, it's last year, the one thing that I thought about, and it's really resonated with me a lot. I don't know of another team that could have went through what they went through last year and still made it to the AFC Championship game. You had Andy that got sick. You had Mahomes that was going through hell. You had issues internally that we talked about that were actually facts on the offensive side of the ball. And then the one coach that we mentioned starting week 6 is no longer here on the defensive side of the ball. He was causing problems for the cornerbacks and he's gone. So with all that turmoil that was going on and all this stuff with Mahomes' personal life, and we still made it to the AFC Championship game. What that tells me is that we have a group of guys that have so much heart and so talented that they're able to figure out ways of winning regardless. If they lose, they figure out what they did wrong and they move forward. There was a big learning curve this year with Mahomes, with Chris Jones not playing his position, for the first 7 weeks?
Yep.
8 weeks.
And he had like a hand injury too.
Yeah, and his wrist was destroyed. So, I mean, this is one of those things to where everybody wants to bitch and complain, but they don't know the facts behind any of it. And it's sad, but it's the truth. Nobody wants to really get into the whole situation. They just want to talk about what they see on TV instead of what's behind the scenes. And I understand they don't know it, but think that just like if you were at your job and there was issues with somebody you know work with, your boss or whatever the case may be, there's no difference in the NFL. There's going to be problems at some point. And we made it to a place that no other AFC team did besides the Bengals. Okay, so think about it from that perspective. I mean, instead of thinking, oh, well, we all suck and we need to get rid of everybody. That's not the case. If that was the case, we wouldn't have got where we were.
That's what they keep saying about Clyde.
Schedule. Yeah.
It's killing me. People are saying we need to go draft a running back. I've seen someone on Twitter saying we need like a first round running back. We do not.
Never waste your money on a first round running back.
Clyde is a great player, great person. I don't think we use him correctly. Everybody's so down on him going into next year. Just give him a chance. He wasn't healthy last offseason.
Well, he hasn't been healthy since he's been here. So, I mean, that's been the problem. You know, that's why everybody's bitching because he hasn't been healthy. The one thing I would say about Clyde is that I think he's not, if you're going to use him, and you're right, Brandon, use him in, you know, a more of a, you know, running back by committee style situation, but don't use him as a 30 down back, you know, because it's not going to happen.
He's going to get the ball out of the backfield more like receiving.
Yeah.
That's why they brought him in. Use him more like that and mix in some Jerick McKinnon and stuff like that instead of just pound the rock with Clyde and give Darryl all the screen plays.
Yeah.
Clyde is amazing in space. That's just people are so down on him.
I think Clyde just needs he's a smaller running back that he is injury prone. I mean, there's no doubt. But again, he's one of those guys that I think with what I've seen and what I noticed about him is that last year his average was like 4.3 yards a carry, if I'm not mistaken, over the season.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of games he was hitting over 5.
Yeah, there was. But I mean, I think his entire season average was, you know, around there. And I remember the game when he came back, he was at like 6.2. Darryl was at 6.8. I mean, they were blowing it up, you know, because that offensive line is so good and they were able to get through it. You know, I mean, they were able to get through the holes and move. With this offensive line, a crappy running back would have decent numbers. You know, I mean, we don't have to go out and spend money on a first. Why waste your money on a player that you know is not going to be utilized like that? We're not a run first team. We are a 80-20 team.
You can also find undrafted guys like James Robinson.
Yeah.
Dude's a stud.
Yep.
I mean, you know, I like the fact of, you know, a little bit of the idea of Saquon Barkley to a degree. But again,
that intrigues me.
He's had injuries as well. Now he had 2 major injuries because he had no offensive line and he had a terrible football team to play for.
Terrible coach. Terrible quarterback.
Coach, terrible quarterback. I mean, he had everything going against him. And I think if he came here, he would be a phenomenal player. And I think he'd be able to get through the holes, and he's quick and he's really good in the out of the backfield too, you know, as far as a wide, you know, catching the ball down the field. But I don't know, man. I mean, you don't want to go waste your money on running backs that you're not going to utilize. Why waste a first round draft pick on a running back? That's stupid. We're not a run first team. We haven't been for years. So why do that now?
Especially when the least of our problems right now is a running back.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the least of our issues.
Yeah. I mean, we got, you know, wide receiver and defensive issues to fill in right now. The last thing we have to worry about is a running back. That's the last thing in my opinion, on the totem pole is a running back, but I don't know.
Quarterbacks last.
Yeah, quarterbacks last.
Yeah, we don't need a quarterback.
Yeah, we don't need a quarterback.
We don't need one.
No, we don't need one quarterback.
We'll be fine for a while with that.
We got the best in the league, and then we got Shane Buechele.
Yeah.
And the lead backup.
That's true.
What do you need? I mean, it is what it is. So I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy. Let's get into some of this other stuff, Brandon. The NFL moves. What do you think?
The Khalil Mack one was shocking to me.
Yeah.
And the compensation, that was
second round pick.
Shocking to me.
That is kind of high. Not gonna lie.
For somebody coming off an injury, who's a little older, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a reach. They think
think
they're
so,
going to try to build some. Joey Bosa's getting older. Derwin James can never stay on the field. Khalil Mack he had that one good year. That was like 5 years ago that he had that.
Yep.
I mean, he was good before that with the Raiders, but he hasn't been good on the Bears in like, it was like Trubisky's like first year. That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got
They're
not that elite level talent. Maybe he's like what Frank Clark is.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Just a highly paid Frank Clark.
Yeah, I'm blown out of the water that they. Well, I know they needed defensive help, but that was a stretch. I think that was another one that I'm like, okay. And then, everybody was like, oh, well, God, everybody's got to, the Chiefs got to counteract it. I don't think there's a whole lot you have to counteract. You do have to, we're going to build our defensive lineup and and we've got an offensive line that, who's going to stop the group that we have right now? Honestly, our offensive line is stacked. You're going to have a really hard time finding somebody unless it was honestly an Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's true.
Also based off last year, the odds that he even plays in both games against us. I know last year, he's played in games before, but he played in 41% of the games last year. The odd that even lined up to be the 2 games against us.
Yeah.
Are we really going to have to worry about him?
No.
I would say this. This just shows there's an arm race happening in the AFC West. It's officially the best division of football. And the Chiefs need to counteract that by adding moves, adding players, bringing in coaches that are going to help. Because if they don't do that, we'll be looking like we're not going to win division. I have a friend who's a Chargers fan. He was elated. He called me. He was like, man, I'm so happy we got Khalil Mack. And he's like, this is the best team. But he told me this. There's probably going to be 3 AFC West teams in the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. There is a good chance. And because we have the 7 playoff spots now, it's perfect for the Chiefs. Because we have a down year 1 year, we can slip in. So
I'm going to be completely honest too, though. Mm-hmm. It could be the Broncos or the Chargers that missed the playoffs of those teams, though. Raiders
would make it.
I think they're sneaky good.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I don't like Derek Carr like the person. But he's a pretty good quarterback.
He's not a bad quarterback. He just never finishes.
They got Max Crosby. I can see him sneaking it, and they snuck in this year.
Yeah.
That's true. Herbert hasn't been in the playoffs. That Staley is just running them into the ground with his fourth down calls.
Yeah, you got to be, when you do that stuff, you got to be smart because you don't know what's going to happen in certain plays. And he was like, I'm just going to do what I want. I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but that's going to hurt your team. And that's exactly what he did. He cost his team. Okay, sorry, no. If he's basically did the same stuff that the Ravens did, but was able to win games.
Yeah.
That's kind of the parallel. So they got in there and they were the better team, the Raiders, but they have a lot to focus on. They have a lot to deal with.
Yeah, they do. They got internal issues that, I don't know. They're still reeling from, investigations, and Mayock's under investigation. That's why he's gone. And there's a lot of shit they're still dealing with that, who knows how they're going to end up this year, but, and I don't know.
I just have trouble believing in the Chargers and Broncos until I see it.
Yeah.
The Broncos they have no room to talk. They have not beat the Chiefs in 13, 14 straight games. Yeah. I just tell Broncos fans, you have no room to talk. You have no room to talk. So I don't care about, oh, we got this quarterback. Oh, I'm so related. No, you have no room to talk until you beat the Chiefs. I will see it. I'll believe it when I see it. I will believe it when I see it, when you see you guys finally beat us. Because this has been literally, it's going to be like, 8 years, 7, 8 years now? They have not done anything.
16.
The Chiefs have pretty much dominated them every single time. Every single time.
Last time they beat us was
2015.
With Peyton Manning, Jamal Charles fumbled on a Thursday night. I remember that night very painfully.
Yep.
I remember that night.
That's right. That's exactly right. So,
and then the Chargers. Herbert can be the stat guy, putting up all these numbers, but where's the playoff appearances?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is going on his 3rd season now.
Yeah, and guys like Keenan Allen, he can't stay healthy. He's getting older too.
Yeah.
And they just gave a bag to Mike Williams,
Yeah, they did.
He's a future.
which I thought that's a lot of money for
They
wide
almost
receiver
put him
too.
on free. Dude, they came close to letting him run to free agency. They were gonna let him go, and they said, "No, we better not do that because if somehow
Chiefs
the
were going to
Chiefs
try to
end up
pick him
picking
up.
which they were looking at it and hoping that was going to happen. It didn't, but that was one direction they were looking at. I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting. We are probably the best division in football right now. When you really look at it, it's the best division in football.
Oh, for sure.
Especially, I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I look at the Chargers, I think this is the exact same thing that we watched Phillip Rivers do for 14, 17 years, whatever it was, however long he was with them. You know, he played his ass off. He put up all these numbers, didn't make the playoffs, couldn't beat
Chargers going to Charger.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
seriously,
the Broncos, you know, now that Elway's pretty much out of the way for the most part, and they're being sold, which like I had mentioned on the show prior to the sale even being announced that they were selling the team.
AB might buy him.
Oh my gosh.
I saw that he's part of the ownership group. It might have been like Kanye West and AB. I'll look that up.
Jesus, can you imagine those two owning a football team?
You think he'd let himself play?
You probably would try to say, I'm the owner of this team. I'm going to start. I'm like, bro, you can't play no more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Antonio Brown, extremely serious about buying Denver Broncos with Kanye West.
Well, more power to him. If he wants to do that, go ahead. By all means.
Where is he getting the money at?
He lost all of it for running off the field. It's got to be all Kanye's money. And then he's just like
it has to be. Because the last I heard, he had about $20 million left. So
maybe he's trying to invest the last bit of that and make some money for a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, he found somebody else that's just like him, I guess, in a lot of ways. So, I mean, I guess if you're going to partner up with somebody, you might as well partner up with somebody else that's nuts. So he did what he had to do, I guess. But
I would love to see them own the Broncos, though, just being in the same division.
Oh, God.
That'd be cool.
What are they possibly going to do to the team? They could run it into the ground.
Oh, yeah. Man, it would be so destroyed. They'd
probably change them to the Donda Broncos. Kanye's got that Donda Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to play his music and everything. He can put it out there.
Yeah,
he makes the kids at the academy wear his own like shoes and stuff too. Yeah. They're supposed to be like not very comfortable.
Oh, I haven't even tried the shoes. I'm not gonna spend that much money on a pair of shoes. I'd rather go down and get a pair of Skechers.
They said the kids like hated it. The kids hated playing in them, but since they went to school there, they had to wear them. So the Donda Broncos, they got to wear the Donda shoes.
You're gonna have Snoop Dogg out there as an offensive coordinator. You'll have. I mean,
Snoopy good at video games though. Snoopy good at Madden. He probably would be trying to pull some plays.
And I love Snoop. This is not supposed to work. I love Snoop. I mean, I think he's hilarious, and I think he's a really cool guy. But I mean, you could just imagine 50 Cent out there as a linebacker. I mean, he'd just be having some crazy shit go on. So it'd be insane.
That'd be interesting.
The Chiefs got to let Future perform every halftime. The Broncos come because that's Sierra's ex-husband. They're like, just bring Future in. I'm like, I would love that. That'd be so cool.
That would be so many problems. But what is one move you think the Chiefs need to make? Like, if there's one move you think Beach is going to make next week, what will it be?
Go ahead, Brandon. I'll let you go first.
That's tough. Because looking at the free agent pass rushers, I see a lot of issues with them. They're all older guys coming off a lot of injuries, or guys that haven't had high sustained success. So if you want to, I'd almost go wide receiver just because I think the wide receivers are better, and I'd rather try to draft defense.
Yeah.
Because the wide receivers that are out there are all proven wide receivers.
Yeah.
The DNs are all old guys that have never lived up to what they thought they were.
Yeah.
Or injured a lot. And we can't build a D line of all injured guys unless we're going to sign like 8 of them.
Yeah.
Just constantly replace themselves.
No, you can't. I mean, I agree with you. I think they're probably going to make either a wide receiver move or a cornerback move is what I think they're probably going to do next week. By next
week. You guys like JC Jackson?
I do. I do. And he's another one that was really close to being franchise tagged, and then they changed their minds. So
He's a good
I
player.
think there's a good chance they go after a wide receiver.
yeah,
I really think
I
they're going to get
agree.
that second wide receiver and get it locked up, have it all ready to go, have him ready next week working with Mahomes. Seriously, you got to have someone like that. I would say it's either going to sign someone or they might trade for someone. I have a person that's on my radar that I told you guys earlier that's a possibility. I'm not going to say it on here just due to issues like that. But I think there's a really good chance they could do something along those lines and bring someone in. Someone that no one's not really talking about, but kind of like the Joe Thuney move. No one thought we were getting Joe Thuney,
Yeah.
but we end up getting. So I think there's a couple guys, and I have a couple in mind.
yeah. There's one player, one wide receiver that I know wants to come here, and he's definitely going to be on the free agent market. So
And the whole Calvin Ridley rumors are shut down now.
yeah, that's done.
Those are people that really wanted him. That's sad to see happen.
Yeah,
But at least we can kind of limit the list down even more.
Yeah.
I think I'd like going wide receiver because then you can address just defense in the draft.
yeah,
That's true.
And I'd like to see him move up for one. That Karlaftis kid out of Purdue, I've heard he's raw. Might take a year or so, but I think he's got a lot of talent.
Well,
I mean, we're not going to get Thibodeau or any of them at the top of the draft.
No, but remember, we still got Cornell Powell, and we still got Josh Gordon sitting.
That's true. But I do feel like we need to have another proven guy just in case Josh Gordon can come in and fill in as well.
Yeah.
You got 3 quality ones. So say if the Chiefs could theoretically get a number 1 wide receiver to come in and be a wide receiver 2. Josh Gordon used to be a number 1. Travis Kelsey's a number 1. Tyreek Hill's number 1. I mean, just have all those number 1 options on your team.
Yeah.
Very, very helpful. Very
And the way you
helpful.
can use McCole.
Yep.
You can the more if you can add a really good wide receiver, you can use McCole in a role that is the best for him as you're starting to see down the stretch, as opposed to he's not a true 2.
No.
He's meant to make all these like gadget plays, and he is amazing at them.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got to
we just need to isolate him in that role, and he'll kill it.
Yeah.
Plus, he can get open on a third corner.
Yeah.
With his speed alone, he won't be taken. Some teams have 2 legit corners, so
Yeah.
I think one thing we finally see, he's good as a screen guy and a guy catching the ball in the flats. That's McCole's game. He can do some deep stuff, but you need to start him there because he finally had over 100 yards receiving in his limited role right there and to show how effective he was. So
yeah, especially without catching anything past the line of scrimmage, I believe. Everything was like behind the line of scrimmage, and he just yard after the catch. His yak has got to be
That's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But if we can use him like that, it just makes him that more of a weapon.
Yeah, I agree.
He can be more of a 1B as opposed to a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with you guys. Yeah, there's one NSC wide receiver that I know that the Chiefs are interested in, and I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to jinx it, and he wants to come here. He's hitting the free agent market unless something changes between now and next week. But from what I understand, he's hitting the free agent market, and it'd be nice to have him. But we'll see what happens there. And also, you got to remember, we got Jody coming back next year too. So.
Yeah.
I love Jody.
Is he supposed to come back? Like, is his Achilles doing better? Because I know sometimes it takes a little bit to get back from those injuries.
What I heard is he is advancing faster than anybody they've seen.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to hear.
Everybody I've talked to said that he's really progressed very well, and he could be starting week 1. So I would love to. I mean, I was so upset when he got injured. I was like, because you and I both.
Especially because he mossed that dude earlier in the game.
The bright spot on this team when we were struggling.
Yeah, man.
He could have turned to the wide receiver 2, but really needed it if they would have done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you and I had talked about him since his first preseason game and praying that he would get on the field. And then when we found out early on in the offseason that they were going to make him a hybrid, like a tight end / wide receiver, we announced it on the show. And then all of a sudden, about a month and a half later, it came out and they said, well, we're going to convert him to tight end. And he's a hybrid player. It's what he is. He's got both. The speed, he's got the hands, he's got the agility, he's got the cuts. He can, he can open up lanes, he can get through the lanes. So
Put the muscle on too. I remember when he was not that going to training camp, he was not that big of a guy.
No.
He's a unit now.
Yeah. I think he weighs like 245.
Yeah,
So-
he's
ready to go.
size.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
So we're gonna have we've got a good core. We just got to add to it a little bit.
Mhm.
I think our biggest struggle right now is defense. We're just gonna have to figure out what to do with these defensive, the players that they want to bring in and who, I'm hoping that I don't want to get rid of Ward. I think that's a mistake.
I think they can bring him back. I think they can, but it's gonna be interesting to see how that's gonna work out.
Yeah. I mean, I keep hearing
Unless they really see someone that's a lot better for cheaper money, because is he commanding a lot of money on the market?
Not that
You
I
guys
heard.
know?
I just see him. He's like the second or third best corner, so I could see a team going out and giving him a. Not to throw this fan base under the bus, but like the Jets, I could see a team like the Jets going out and being like, "Hey, we want you."
And
Here's
it runs
money.
down to this: do you want to run it back with the team you've always been with that can get that you're going to make a good amount of money, or do you want to go to a team like the Jets that will pay you a lot of money, but you're going to be struggling?
Yeah,
that's kind of the one thing you're running
be a
down
Le'Veon
to.
Bell. I mean, because that's the way it's what it's going to boil down to. I mean,
You play with Zach Wilson, or you want to play with Patty Mahomes?
exactly.
Got choices to make.
That's your choice, So, and
Plus,
I
you
think
make a lot of money in the playoff bonuses.
yeah,
Just by making the playoffs alone, I think like for making the Super Bowl, you can make like $500,000.
if not a little more,
If it's a
depending
couple
on your
mil less, like you can make up the difference in
You
them.
can make it in the playoffs. Yeah.
yeah with all your bonuses, and we're not. It's not like we're not making the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
every playoff game he's in, or he's with a team that's in the playoffs, he's making a lot of money. And then you get to the Super Bowl, there's a lot more money. So, and that doesn't even include, if he starts to pick up some endorsements and things of that nature. He's just such a quiet guy that it's hard for him to pick up endorsements, I think, as much as like, other players do. But
He's a fun guy too. I remember watching him on The Franchise.
Yeah.
That he showed. Pretty cool guy.
He's humble.
He was very
humble.
reserved, but I'd love to keep him around.
Me too. Me too. I mean, he was the most consistent corner we had. When you really considered, he was the most consistent corner we had. All around corner. I mean, yeah, he may have not had all the interceptions, but I think he had 3 last year, right?
Yeah, but he locks down that side of the field.
Man, he locks
3 or
it
4.
down. Yeah.
And his coverage on Jamar Chase in week 17. Jamar made some crazy catches, but his coverage was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that's just, there's nothing you can do. Jamar's a freak of nature.
Yeah. Well, plus he pushes off.
Pushes off
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah, pushes off all day long. I mean, when you do that and you don't get called on it, you're going to be able to get away with a lot. But you noticed in the playoffs, I think he held him to what, 60 yards or something?
Something small, and the only way he scored that touchdown is because Rashad Fenton was on. That's the only reason why. Yeah. I don't think Ward would have given up that touchdown. So.
I don't think so either. They got a decision to make there because look, Mike Hughes is done.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of like, we got a 7th round pick. We're not seeing anyone. Let's go and bring him in. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Let's try. And he did some good things for our defense, but it just kind of showed like an everyday.
He won that one defensive player of the week.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
That was about it.
Got that on his
he did
resume.
Get some crucial plays for us. I will say that, but overall there were some inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Just from a former first round pick, you just expect a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's just lost passion for the game or if he just doesn't understand.
I just think the scheme and the whole issues they were dealing with, plus Spags not being consistent, it just messes with players. Like you said, Sorensen and Neiman in there sometimes messes up the entire defense, more specifically Sorensen. So
yeah, it does.
I mean, maybe it's just one of the things. Maybe he'll resign with us for a cheaper deal. I mean, yeah, he had some good stuff, but you never know. So
it'd have to be straight up hardcore league minimum. I mean, I wouldn't bring him back for anything more than that.
Which that's hard to take as a former first round pick, getting all that money and just. But who else is going to offer much
been injury
more?
prone. This is really his only good year he's had was with the Chiefs.
Yeah, yeah, and he did get injured, didn't he? At one point, wasn't he injured a little bit?
Not with us, I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
I don't think he was with us.
It was with the Vikings. He was injured a lot.
But think about how bad the Vikings cornerback, that Dantzler was having issues this year.
Yeah,
Breland got cut, so I mean, if he couldn't stick around there,
Yeah.
Didn't
I love
I mean, he
Breezy.
did okay here. I wish we
I
had
love
kept him
Breezy,
around.
man. That dude, he's something, man. He kills me. He's rapping now, so he's got his own thing going. So he's gonna, we'll see what happens with him. But if you got to, anybody got any draft talk they want to talk about right now? Anything you want to bring up?
I'll keep it short and sweet, but the one player I think the Chiefs should try to go after is Jermaine Johnson, the second edge rusher out of Florida State. I watched him at last year's season 4 at Indy, Independence, Kansas Community College, and he transferred to Georgia. He was a number 1 edge rusher. Then after that, he went to Florida State, had a bigger role, had a lot of sacks. If he falls to Chiefs, I would really like them to take him. That's the player I'm kind of looking at.
What about you, Brandon?
I like Karlaftis out of Purdue. That's if he falls. Some people have him going like 12. Some people have him falling to like 30, 32-ish range.
Yeah,
It seems like the draft this year is very
it's strange.
not anybody has like a defined position. Some people think Kayvon Thibodeau is a top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have him dropping to like 12.
Yeah.
Some people have the Hutchinson, the kid from Michigan, dropping to like 7. Some people have him number 1 overall. David Ajabo would be a good one too for Michigan.
Yeah.
He's a pass rusher. I think pass rusher is where we need to go.
Definitely.
But
Edge
I mean,
rush.
if we unless we don't get a wide receiver, like we needed a wide receiver in the draft, Jameson Williams. If he falls, he's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd also be fine maybe getting George Pickens in the second round.
I like George Pickens.
There.
Yeah. George Pickens.
I think somebody like that to develop would be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on Pickens. He's a beast. Well, Aaron Rodgers set the bar. We got Russell Wilson in the AFC West. We got Jimmy Garoppolo going somewhere. I don't know where.
He just had surgery like this week too.
Yeah.
I guess it's going to be the Colts. That's what the prediction is. The Colts. He could also go to the Saints as well.
The Saints, where I think he may end up.
I want to see where Jameis goes. Jameis was promising before he got hurt.
I think Jameis might stay with the Saints. I think he has a good chance of staying with the Saints.
Think so?
That's what I'm feeling like, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Jason Kelsey re-signed again with the Eagles. I don't know if anybody knew about that.
I saw a video about that with like a keg.
Yeah. Yeah. He re-signed. Crazy bastard. He's funny, man. Dude's just a beast. Just won't quit. Does anybody know if what's his name? Plays for the Rams. He's like 40.
Whitworth.
Whitworth. Does anybody know if he's coming back or not? Or did he decide to retire?
I've heard he might come back, which is like
insane. But he's still playing.
I would rather ride off into the sunset, but I think he's like he kind of wants to come back to go run it back, which the odds of that, as we know, are extremely low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a little tidbit of information that I heard. This year, Tom Brady's working on a movie about himself, of course, and he's playing himself in the movie. But apparently, he wants to come back next year and play.
Oh.
Now, whether that happens or not,
that's what he wants to do. That's on him.
Probably depends how his movie goes. It's about like these 5 women that travel from New England to Super Bowl. Yeah, the one where they played the Eagles.
5 old ladies.
Or the Falcons.
Something. Yeah.
And
it's got like Rita Moreno and all these older actresses in there that, it's kind of like Driving Miss Daisy. Driving Mr. Brady. I don't know. It's just like
I haven't seen that movie, but that one's.
I mean, it's like just a bunch of old people,
just reliving the times.
Yeah, reliving the times and things like that. And
I think it's called like 80 for Brady.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what it's called, 80 for Brady.
I find that weird. Just he retires and he already got a movie. Just like releasing the documentary about yourself before you're even out of the league.
That's weird. He's such an arrogant bastard. So, man, he's so full of himself. And it's so crazy because honestly, man, I mean, when you really look at it, it wasn't all. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. It was never all him. I mean, never was it all
Team
him.
effort,
It was
everyone.
a complete
And the
team
coach.
effort and a coach. You got a top 5 defense and a coach that was relentless. I mean, his average yardage was, or his average yards per game over his 20 years were basically a hair above average for any quarterback. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't understand it, but whatever. I mean, everybody loves him, so I guess it is what it is. Any other moves you guys know about that happened that we haven't talked about yet?
No, not really.
Well, any
Just the
predictions?
Carson Wentz one.
That's weird.
Mhm.
That's
an overpay.
Yeah.
yeah.
The market's high though because Russell Wilson. That's the only reason why they got a second round pick from.
I would have waited to see what goes on with Watson.
That's true.
I would have rather gave up more for Watson than
And
Wentz. I've heard Wentz is an awful leader.
Wentz is not okay. Wentz is good, but his confidence got destroyed with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I understand that happens, and it's not good, but it's kind of you got to power through that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And
He doesn't have the personality for it.
And and like JP, that's probably one of the reasons why he hasn't really worked anywhere else because you saw the Colts were good, but they collapsed down the stretch.
They're literally a quarterback
collapsed.
away.
Yeah.
They have
really
collapsed. And their
Yeah.
ways, it sucks because they have so many great players on their team, but they can't get a quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's like either Colts are going to try to get someone they're going to try to trade for someone, or they're going to take a guy like Kenny Pickett. Honestly, that's really only your best choice to do.
Yeah.
Someone like them, or if they want to do a package and try to get someone else. I mean, that's all they can really do at this point because they've gone through 5 quarterbacks in 5 years, and it's just kind of like this ain't just gonna work. You're wasting these guys' prime.
Yeah.
And being in Watson's division, they can't even acquire him.
Yeah,
No.
and that's the
So
thing.
like that's tough.
They're gonna have to make some moves, but seriously, I were them, I would probably try to get Kenny Pickett. You got the draft capital, you got some moves, you can trade some players if you need to, but you gotta go someone like Kenny Pickett. He'll be able to work in your offense. I really think that would benefit for them if they could somehow.
He's the most NFL ready. I like Malik Willis too, but I don't know if he's NFL ready yet.
Yeah,
to where they're in win now mode.
Yeah, and I think I'm looking at the Colts draft picks, they're in the first. Do you guys know what their first round pick?
I'm not real sure.
They
what
might
it is.
have.
I don't have a first. Do they not?
I think they traded it.
They might have traded
I think you're
it.
right. They did trade it.
So they're gonna have to figure out something. Because their best bet probably, unfortunately, is to get Garoppolo.
They traded it for Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
it's the Eagles pick.
Oh well, then
the Eagles have 15 and
forget
16.
Forget it then. They could have. Yeah, that's okay. Well.
And to trade back into the first round to even get a chance at one of those quarterbacks is going to be
difficult.
I don't even think they.
And this is a weak quarterback class compared to some years. I mean, you've only got like really.
Well, this one isn't hyped up, but I think there's quality there. It's just not no instant.
It's just not so. I guess
it's not stars like Trevor Lawrence or the hot Heisman winner.
Trevor Lawrence has never really impressed me yet, so we'll see what he does. Maybe he needed.
But like coming out of college, he was that guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Same thing with like Baker at winning the Heisman winner. When you win it when you're younger, got to stay in school. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
next year's gonna be good.
Who's coming out the next year's?
I think it's Bryce Young, CJ
Stroud.
That
Bryce Young is a beast. Man, that kid's good.
Caleb Williams from Oklahoma might be able to. He might be a year younger. Spencer Rattler, if he bounces back. There could be some names next year.
Yeah.
But you can't tank the whole year.
No.
If you're the Colts, not with that roster.
Yeah, you can't. No. You're gonna that's the thing. They gotta stay afloat. It's just they have all that talent just to have the quarterback. And maybe if the Colts were able to, maybe they would have tried to get Russell Wilson, but just didn't have the capital. So I mean that's what kind of shows you. Just shows you the issues that come about with teams, but that's why I gotta be thankful for what Veach has and what he's done for the Chiefs. So
yeah. I mean, I still have all the faith in the world in him. I'm a little, I guess I'm a little perplexed about Tyrann Mathieu and Charvarius Ward. Those are the two that are throwing me off the most. I think that I mean, I understand some of the situation with Tyrann Mathieu. I don't understand Ward at all. I don't get it. I just don't. I'm sorry, but he's a lockdown corner on that side of the field, and his numbers were phenomenal. I just don't understand. I just don't get it. I mean, it's killing me inside because I love Ward. I've loved him since day one, and his whole story just is inspiring on its own. But to be where he's at and to be as good as he is, I don't know, man. That's throwing me way off. Okay. I mean, if you don't want to bring back a 30-year-old Tyrann Mathieu because of other issues or other reasons, then that's on you. But I don't get the Ward thing.
Hard to pass on a young corner like that.
Yeah, man.
Especially when you have so many other needs in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
And I still don't understand the Tyrann. I mean, that's, you're losing a lot of cap space by not extending Tyrann Mathieu if you don't do it. So
honestly, if you sign him to a 3, you only really need to keep him around for 2.
exactly.
That's like, you're almost just better off just doing that. I mean, he's kept the same play for 3 consecutive years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Compared to what we've
maybe
seen
it down a tick this past year, but I mean, he's at least going to have it next year, and then the year after. Even if he declines a little bit more, he's a leader. Our defense is going to be. I can't even imagine what they're going to look like. I'm kind of scared without.
Scared me too. It scares me. I mean, it does. It scares me a little bit because it's just listening to the guy and knowing his mindset. I don't know, man. I think he's just very misunderstood. I'll put it that way. I think he's a very misunderstood individual. I think he wears everything on his sleeve. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and all of his emotions are on his sleeve. And when you do that, you're going to, of course, you're going to draw your enemies, which we've seen. But again, he also has to not let those people get to him nearly as much as he does. And I understand. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to let people just continually bash you. But in the same aspect, I think he's still a great leader, and I think he would, give him an off season to heal and get his knee straight. And he's still an elite safety. I think he's still the smartest secondary player I've ever seen. I mean, when it comes to football IQ, I don't know, man. The guy is just intelligent. So, and look,
his story is amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, wasn't even supposed to play in the NFL. I mean, nobody ever thought he'd even make it. So, just I don't know.
Done a lot.
So done a lot for this team, that's for sure. And a lot for the community. But people don't remember that kind of stuff. So, well, but that being said, I don't know what else we got for this show, but anything else from you guys?
I think we pretty much covered. You got anything, Brandon?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. Well, everybody keep following, keep listening to the show. We're going to start doing giveaways again here pretty soon. And we're going to do some other stuff. We got a lot of other stuff coming up with these guys are putting together. And just remember, follow, subscribe, chiefsfocus.com. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Facebook is really coming on strong right now, which is nice. And we just love to see everybody there. So with that being said, enjoy your weekend, and we will talk to you next week.
Next time, guys.
Thanks for coming
See you
on,
guys.
Brandon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
No
brother.
problem.